another ukulele tutorial. I'm Lara, and today I'm walking you through a beautiful chord progression using a finger-picking pattern. Some people say there's nothing happier than a sad song, and I really enjoyed creating this melody that I named Blue Rain. You'll see the tablature on screen as we move through the tutorial, and you can also download it as a PDF from the link down below in the description. First I'll play this melody for you so you can hear how it sounds. Then I'll show you how to play the chords and how to play this finger-picking pattern, and then we'll walk through the tablature step by step. Stick around for a play-along after the tutorial where I'll play through this melody one more time with the tabs on screen so you can play along with me. This arrangement is for low G tuning. Now that you've heard this melody, let's take a look at how to play the 6 chords in this progression and how to play the finger-picking pattern. Our first chord is E minor. I have my index finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and my ring finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. The next chord is C, using my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Our next chord is another C chord that's played higher up the neck. I'm playing my index finger on the 7th fret of the 3rd string, my ring finger on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, and my middle finger on the 7th fret of the 1st string. Next we have our D chord. D is played across the 2nd fret of strings 2, 3, and 4, so I'm using my index finger, my middle finger, and my ring finger. The next chord is G major 7. I'm taking my D chord and I'm just moving it down one string, so I'm playing the 2nd fret across strings 1, 2, and 3. Finally, we have our G chord. Here I'm playing my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and my index finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Let's look at this pattern played nice and slow on our E minor chord. I'm picking the 4th string with my thumb. Then I'm using my index finger on the 3rd string, middle finger on the 2nd string, ring finger on the 1st string, going back to the 4th string, 3rd string, and finishing on the 2nd string. The rhythm of this pattern is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We're going to play this finger-picking pattern through the entire piece, but there are a few exceptions. So there are a few measures where we finish the pattern on our 1st string rather than our 2nd string. And the reason for this is to give us options on melody notes on the 1st string. so I'll point those out as we come across them. Now we're going to walk through the tablature and how to play this melody. Looking at the tablature, we're going to play our fingerpicking pattern once in each measure. We're starting off on our E minor chord for measures 1 and 2. Then we're going to our C chord for measures 3 and 4. For measure 5, we're going to our D chord, and we'll play this for measures 5 and 6. And then for measures 7 and 8, we're going to our G major 7 chord. Measure 8 is our first ending. We have repeat bars at the end of measure 8 telling us to go back to the first measure. We'll play measures 1 through 7 once again, and then we'll go to measure 9 for our second ending. For this one, our pattern is going to be just a little bit different. We're still on our G major 7 chord. But for our very last note of this measure, we're going up to the 5th fret of the first string. For measure 10, we'll play our pattern on our high C chord. And for measure 11, we'll play the pattern once again on C, except for the final note where we're using our middle finger to go down to the 5th fret of the first string. So here's what that looks like. Now I'm moving down to G in measure 12 and playing the regular pattern. In measure 13, I'm going to play the pattern except for the last note. I'm moving up to the 5th fret of the first string. So here's what that looks like. For measure 14, I'm going up to the high C chord and playing the regular pattern. And then for measure 15, I'm playing the pattern on C until we get to the last note, then I'm playing the 5th fret of the first string. For measure 16, I'm going down to my G chord to play our regular pattern. Then I'll play it again on G in measure 17. For measure 18, I'm going to my D chord. And we have a couple variations in measure 19. So I'm playing the first 3 notes of the pattern on my D chord, strings 4, 3, and 2. But then I'm placing my pinky down on the 3rd fret of the first string to play the 4th note. Then I'm going back to string 4 and string 3. And then I'm going to the first string, 5th fret, for the final note in measure 19. Here's what measure 19 looks like played nice and slow. For measure 20, we're going back to our E minor chord, and the next 6 measures will be the same as the first 6 measures of this progression. So measures 20 and 21 will be on E minor, measures 22 and 23 will be on C, and then measures 24 and 25 will be on D. For measure 26, we're going to our C chord. Measure 27, we're going back to D. And then we're ending the piece on measure 28 on our G major 7 chord. Instead of playing a final note, we're playing a final arpeggio chord through all 4 strings. If you're enjoying this tutorial, please give this video a thumbs up, and thank you so much for subscribing. I very much appreciate your support for this channel. Now we've come to our play along. I'm going to play through this melody one more time. The tabs will be on screen so you can play along with me. If a slower tempo would be helpful, then feel free to slow down the playback speed of the video down in the video settings. 5, 6, 7, 8. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson and that you find joy in playing this sad chord progression. Have fun practicing, and thank you for watching.